Yo, welcome back to another video. I just finished the fourth episode of The Flash, and in my opinion, it is by far the weakest episode of this new season. I have about four things to talk about this video, so stick around until the end. The first thing that I want to go over is Mark helping someone that Frost probably wouldn't have wanted him to help. It's just a little bit like weird that like Mark would help the villain to bring back Frost, and I'm imagining like a scenario in which Frost is brought back to life but at the expense of Team Flash, and she will probably go off looking for ways to bring Team Flash back. And even if she doesn't, she would have been brought back, but at the expense of her own team members, which she considers family. So I think that's just a little bit weird. The second thing that I want to talk about is just Chester and Allegra content in general. It's just you could really skip any scene with Chester and Allegra and you wouldn't miss any ounce of the story being told. I just don't know who is pushing for these two to be on screen together because no fan wants this, as far as I'm concerned, in my opinion. The third thing that I want to go over is the Flash talking, willing to negotiate and talk to a villain that is probably safe to assume to have killed or injured civilians, that has stolen millions, if not billions of dollars of worth of technology. The Flash runs up towards the Red Death and he stays there and he's willing to negotiate and ask her what she needs or what she's trying to do so that he can help her. And I know the Flash is this forgiving and lighthearted and loving character, but I think it's a little bit too extreme of his character to be willing to like negotiate with the villain and actually help them to that extent. If there's one thing the Flash is not, it's dumb. The Flash is not dumb. The Flash can be forgiven, but he's not dumb. Like he's not. I just don't think it's a good way of portraying his character, running up to the villain and waiting for them to like do anything because he's trying to help them. And the next thing that I want to talk about is who exactly is this version of the Red Death? Is she from the Reverse Flashpoint timeline? Because that's what I'm hearing like people say. But um I don't know, perhaps I missed something in the show, but I don't think that's possible because remember, Dawn was that timeline's Flash and Barry Allen was that timeline's Reverse Flash. And after Barry like seemingly erased that timeline, they both ran to the current timeline, which is 2023, the Flash. So like how can Red Death is what Ryan Wilder, how can she mimic the powers of the Flash? Would she be mimicking the powers of Eobard Thawne or Barry Allen as a Reverse Flash? Because even then, they had already left. And if she did it before they had already reversed the timeline, why didn't she use those powers when fighting like someone like Damien Dark or the Flash when Barry Allen first showed up in the timeline? But maybe I'm mixing something up. The next thing that I want to go over is Mark kicking Rainbow Radar. It's just the action scenes in the show. I just think that there are different ways that you can write the way an action sequence is supposed to go so that you don't contradict yourself. I watched as like after Barry basically picked up the Flash from the ground, he literally walked up to Rainbow Radar and kicked him in the face and knocked him out. I would rather have preferred that like Rainbow Radar is already knocked down if he was standing beside the Red Death in the place of Murmur when Barry was running on the Cosmic Treadmill, so that after Mark disables the Cosmic Treadmill and punches Murmur instead, he would have punched Rainbow Radar, and then that's how you knock him out, in my opinion. But whatever. And finally, it's just the acting from Ryan Wilder, I think. Like the tantrums that she threw at the end of the episode. I know they never explicitly stated this, but this season and the villain is implied to be the most threatening villain of Team Flash and Barry Allen as of yet, because this version of Barry Allen is the strongest version of Barry Allen that we have seen so far. And if a villain is competing with this version of Barry Allen, that means that this villain is stronger than any villain that Barry has faced in the past. So for a villain like this to be stronger than any past villain, but to still be portrayed as like a child, throwing tantrums and getting angry when something doesn't go according to her plan is just really like, in my opinion, it's kind of bad writing, and I'm not too much of a fan of it. But it's still a pretty all right episode in my opinion, I did enjoy some other scenes with the Red Death in it, and of course there wasn't as much Chester and Allegra content as I have seen before, and yeah, so that's about it. I am coming out with a video of like in-depth specifics of how I would actually write The Flash season 9 with like the characters and the plot and storyline. So stick around for that video, but until then, peace.